that pretty motherfucker. Harlem's what I'm reppin'. Tell my niggas hit the bitch and we gon' make it in a second. Never disrespected, plus I'm well connected with this coke that I imported. Just important as your president. Swagger so impressive, and I don't need it.
Guys, what is up? Welcome to another episode of Maximilian Must Know. This is a review of a fragrance called Jean-Louis Vermeil pour Homme. This one's pretty interesting. I can find virtually zero information on this house. Nada. I think it's French. It sounds French. It's made in France. I really only found out about this fragrance on a Facebook group. I think Max Forte recommended this one, or another reviewer recommended this one, and a few people were really singing this fragrance's praises. Recently, I don't really buy fragrances for the most part. I prefer to sample and enjoy my 650 plus bottle collection, and if I find something I can't live without after sampling it, I'll pick it up. But I looked online after I heard about this one. I saw I could get this one for $13 shipped on eBay, so I was like, hey, that's a pretty tough price to beat. I don't know when this one was released. There's not an official date. Some people say 1997, but it looks like the earliest release from this house was like 89 and the latest was 2000. So I don't know if they folded up shop or not. It looks like they might have. This is 100 ml eau de toilette, and the notes on it are bergamot, mandarin orange, black currant, and galbanum at the top, carnation, jasmine, geranium, lily of the valley, freesia, violet leaf, ylang-ylang, rose, and coriander in the middle, and patchouli, vetiver, cedar, oak moss, and musk in the base. Guys, you can get 100 ml of this if you're interested, between $12 and $15. Many sites have it, overstock. I think Amazon, definitely lots of eBay sellers have it. It's really pretty easy to find. As far as your presentation goes, pay no attention to this nonsense. This is just like a cheap plastic case with a sticker on the bottom. You could see it's a plastic case. At first, when I got this, I was like, whoa. This is nice. The package is heavy, but there's really nothing but the sticker that would let you know that this is even associated with this fragrance. I think they just got a really good deal on plastic cases and threw this in. The bottle looks nice, but it's sort of cheap too. It has Vermeil Paris. It has this metal fake tortoise shell thing. It's got a sticker on the bottom. The sprayer's here, and it comes out there. You have to press really hard. I think they're trying to copy like a DuPont lighter or something like that. Even the sticker just looks cheap. So you're not paying for the presentation. I thought maybe you were. As I said, when I got this and I saw this, I was like, whoa, and then this stuck to it, and this has no branding, and this branding, I'm pretty sure, even though it's embossed, I could rub off pretty easily, and the sprayer's not great. So it's an interesting presentation, but it's not a good one, so let's say that. But this is a classic old school powerhouse scent. Like, if you like scents like Kouros and Jacques Bulgare, One Man Show, the Gold Edition, and I guess Davidoff for Men, then I'm going to assume that you would like this. So let me explain what this smells like. There's the synthetic base. And when I say base, I mean not an essential oil, not a chemical. A base is a combination of materials that fragrance houses put out. And they're used internally, and sometimes after they're kept for a certain amount of years, they're called sometimes captive bases, captive molecules. They're sold to the public. They're sold at least from that perfume house. And there's a base called Animalis 1745. I believe that's the heart of Kouros. It's that sort of musky, animalic smell that I love. And when I smelled that material, I purchased it because a lot of people said it was the heart of many fragrances that came out around that time. I smelled Kouros right away. And I believe that this scent is also mainly constructed around Animalis 1745. There's a nice whack of synthetic oak moss because you cannot use, I know that because you can only use a very small percentage. I think it's 1 or 2% of real oak moss. These days, it might even be less than that. There's some galbanum, a little bit, but on Fragrantica, a lot of people said there's a lot of galbanum, and I think a lot of people are mistaking galbanum for part of that Animalis base, but there's definitely a little bit of galbanum, and you get a nice whack of the same sort of masculine florals you'd find in 80s and early 90s fragrances, carnation, and there's some of that pissy black currant leaf. Real black currant leaf has a animalic, almost urinous smell to it. It's not what you think when you think of black currant. There's cassis, which is a synthetic material put out by perfume houses, and then there's a real black currant absolute. And black currant absolute has a much different aroma. I really like it. It's a little bit fruity, but a little bit of a urine vibe to it. And it has that real black currant leaf vibe to it, but it's very, very faint. This is a manly and mature fragrance. But what's nice about this one is there's a little bit of fruitiness here, which makes it a touch more modern than some of the older scents that I mentioned. Now, this is not as beastly of a performer as Kouros or One Man Show. The Golden Edition, I own both of those, so I know this one is plenty strong. It projects well. It will last you 8 to 10 hours. There's not a ton of development. That animalic vibe does sort of calm down as the fragrance progresses. I think this is juice for a guy. Look, anyone can wear whatever they want, but man, would I love to meet the woman that decides this one is for her. I would like to take her out to dinner, to be honest with you. I think this is for spring, winter, and fall, and could be too much for summer. And I think you just want to wear this one around the hood, maybe around the house on a football Sunday. I think it's not elegant and perhaps a little too aged for the office or a night out with women. Maybe a night with the guys, it could serve well. If you're looking for something similar but maybe better, One Man Show is a much more Gold Edition by Jacques Bogart is a much more hardcore version of this. Kouros is just a better version of this. Davidoff by Davidoff, a lot of people compare this to that on Fragrantica. I haven't smelled it, I can't tell you. But L by Arquiste, which I have smelled, is a phenomenal modern take on Kouros and a better version. Maybe not of Kouros, it's close, but definitely a better version of this. I've also heard that Figment Man by Amouage, I believe their second to latest fragrance, Beach Hut is their newest one. Figment Man, I'm told, has that Animalis 1745 base in it as well. If someone were trying to talk you into purchasing this one, I think they tell you that it's cheap, it's interesting, the performance is fine, you'll definitely get your money's worth. I think if someone were trying to get you to skip this one, I'd say that they'd say that this is a cheap fragrance, a cheap presentation, and there's just better versions of this. Guys, for the money and the interesting presentation and the fact that they kind of tried with the scent, I'm gonna give this a 7 out of 10. It's like the younger, I'm trying to figure out how to put it. It's like the younger brother of Kouros who got out of jail and got a haircut. He's a little more tamed. He turned in his Pierre Cardin suit, which he was wearing in the 80s, with shoulder pads for a modern cut Xenia suit. But sometimes you miss the edge that he displayed before he was rehabilitated by the state. This is not a bad scent. But if you have Kouros, you're good. And if you want something like that, I would check out Kouros or I would check out Arquiste by L, and I'd decide which one of those you wanted. If you want this to see if you want to play the Kouros or L game by Arquiste or possibly Figment Man game, maybe that's a reason to purchase this. But because this is a great scent, it's not. It's a copy of many other scents. The presentation is obnoxious, but it's not that bad. So that's my review. I realize my review is a little bit of a contradiction, but that happens sometimes. For the money, if you just can't afford Kuros, hey, this is not a horrible standard, I have to be honest, and I would wear this. It would be a really weird situation. I'd wear this. It might be when I'm mad at some woman I met 3 weeks ago, and I found out she's secretly an escort, and she's gonna come over, and I'm really drunk, and I'm gonna teach her a lesson, and want to be really obnoxious, and I wear a Cuban link chain with 3 buttons open, and way too much of this, and then things get way worse from there. So I'll spare you the gory details. Anyway, so that's my review of Jean-Louis Vermeil pour Homme. I'll see you next week with some more videos, guys. I want to, as always, thank you all so much for watching. My name, obviously, is Maximilian, and I must know. I will link to eBay, because that's where I got it. I cannot link to this house's website, because as far as I know, it doesn't exist.
I'm dressed in, yo bitch, she said I'm hot. Man, I told her I agree. She gon' really think I'm hot if I told her my degrees. Pull up in that hard top, showing off my keys. Graduate school of hard